Greetings all, Shane Bruce, rest of my Daisy. With an update, we're looking at a gun we're going to do a special project on. This is a Daisy Model 111. It's a high pivot gun, and if you can read it, I'm not sure you can actually see it here, but that is a Daisy number 111, which was a variation of the 1938, 1938B, the number 111 Model 40. Small frame Daisy, utilizing the same internal components as the Red Ryders did and still do, for the most part. So what we're going to do with this particular gun is I was watching YouTube the other day and noticed that Gameo Incorporated had a airgun festival in Alabama last year, an annual event they intend to pursue. And one of the events was called Red Ryder Rampage, where skilled shots shoot at balloons with Red Ryders, and the first guy to knock 30 balloons or pop 30 balloons wins the match. After noting the physical difficulties that most of the shooters were experiencing with the Red Ryder, because they were using current production guns, the muzzle has to be up so that gravity can feed BBs to the chamber so you can actually get a round loaded and a shot fired. All fun and games for the boys and girls in competition, but I decided I would build a specific weapon for balloon busting, and this particular wreck is going to be the foundation of it. Now, it's a 111 Model 40, and if you'll take a look at the surface, you'll notice that, yeah, this gun has seen better days. We've got a lot of severe pitting, a lot of severe rust. The gun was mostly complete, with a couple of aftermarket items stuck on for good measure. Let's roll down to the end of the muzzle so we can get a look at the rest of the barrel assembly. As you can see, this gun has seen better days. Now, the interesting part about it is this 111 is also a bottle cap Daisy. So it has a steel abutment washer, which is important because I like to use bottle cap guns as bases for the customizations and modifications that I do. Now, this is a good example of a bottle cap that you probably should not use. If you'll notice right down here, the bottle cap itself, the muzzle is not square to the tube, and you can see that. Pull back a little bit. You'll also notice that the tube itself is bent, so it's got a slight curve to it. This indicates hard use patterns, as well as the fact that it's also incomplete. It doesn't have its retainer spring, but for the purposes of this particular build, that's immaterial. We're going to put a 50 round spring loaded Daisy Model 25 magazine on this gun, so we don't have to dismount it during the firing cycle. Now, up here at the plunger assembly, it's in pretty good nick. It's a little heavier steel than the current production gun. This is because this is probably a 70s vintage Daisy. The spring is of interest because this would normally be referred to as a sacked spring. You'll notice that it's no longer straight. So it's actually binding on itself as you compress it. It's delivering less power than it should, and it's not delivering the power it has smoothly. This has the new air tube, and you'll note that the air tube diameter is in pretty good nick. It's a nice unbeat up, non-peened air tube. And this is also the older model, which is a seamed air tube. You can probably catch that little seam right there, that line that runs down the barrel. This is not a seamless air tube, so we're probably getting some air loss through that. It's got the old style, or no, this is a new style, the round pin, not the oblong pin. And we'll replace the abutment washer, the wiper seal, as well as install a new compression cup on it, just because we've got the stuff and we can. This one looks fairly serviceable, but if I'm going to build a new gun, I want everything new in it. So moving on along, this gun came factory with plastic stocks, and unlike most plastic stock Daisies, this one's actually fairly straight. So it will eventually wind up on the eBay store. For those of you who have an older Daisy bottle cap gun that has no stocks or decrepit stocks, you'll note that the logo on the forearm is still nice and crisp. It's a Daisy. And you'll also note that the forearm itself is not droopy. That's kind of neat. This particular gun had a plastic barrel band, not a metal one, and various and sundry bits of hardware have been replaced. The original stock screw, which would have looked more like this as opposed to this, was replaced by the last owner. It has a metal lever. It's a straight metal lever with the Daisy line logo. That's kind of neat. And on the other side of the receiver we have the Daisy medallion. Let me get this rotated for you so you can read it. And there's the Daisy medallion, which is kind of neat. That'll stay on the gun. Well, hopefully it'll stay on the gun through the fire blue process. We'll find that out when we get to it. The compression chamber is in good nick. The steel on the barrel, although heavily rusted and heavily pitted, doesn't have any major dents or dings that I've been able to detect so far. And I believe that this gun's going to make a fabulous Red Ryder Rampage balloon busting model, even though it's not a Red Ryder. Well, kids, that's all for today. So this is Shane Bruce with Rest of My Daisy, signing off.